sir.
Do the honor.
Absolutely. If you will, bow with me. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day, Lord. We thank you for this time of fellowship, Lord. We ask that you bless this meeting and bless those that are here in attendance, Lord, and just please be with us and guide us to do your business. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Shelley, for roll call, please.
Sir, Dick Blake,
Audie.
Harley Bezer,
Here.
Bill England,
Honey.
Keith Austin,
Here.
Joe Bird, Bob Crittenden,
Honey.
Mike Dobbins,
Here.
Dan Duncan,
Honey.
Wanda Hatfield, Rex Jordan, Mike Shambaugh, Mary Bakershaw, Bonnie, Keo Smith,
Here.
Janice Taylor, here, Victoria Vesquez, David Walkenstick,
Honey.
Brian Warner.
Honey.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. I'd like to ask for approval of the minutes.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Reports, and I don't know who Marshall Lamb today. Come on down.
Good afternoon. Marcia Lamb couldn't be here today, so Jennifer Kirby sitting in for her. And if you have any questions on our report, I'll be happy to see what I can answer.
Thank you. Any questions? Yes, ma'am.
Hi, Jennifer.
Hi.
Listen, you all did get the problem with the vouchers worked out, right, with the cards at Walmart?
Yes. I haven't heard anything more, so I'm assuming that all that had been worked out. Yeah.
Very good. I have a question. We have students who are homebound. Do we give vouchers for the homebound students?
That's a kind of a two-sided question, because those that take part in community activities as far as sports, or they go into a type of organization where they meet ever so often, those would be eligible. But the ones that are homebound that don't have any other extracurricular activities, those are not included.
So a child who is homebound due to a disability is ineligible.
Now, disability, we would need to be made aware of that if that's an issue. We can always take a look at it, because it's hard to just give a blanket across the board answer when that might be a factor.
So, just so I understand, a homebound student, if they are involved in activities in the community, then they would be eligible.
There are some that provide us with a type of report that comes from a certain. I'm sorry, I don't know all of the. Epic was one that had certain of the schools got together and did activities together. Certain areas would do things, and they would provide us with a report that showed that they got met on certain occasions and things like that, and those were included and able to participate in the clothing program.
Okay, and is the clothing program closed at this time?
It is.
Okay,
Yes.
that's fine, you know. Thank you.
That was my question.
Is it good?
Yes.
Okay. Any other questions? Yes, sir.
All right, so the last I heard, Jennifer, is if they haven't received their card by the 16th, they should kind of be checking in on it. Is that the last you heard?
Not necessarily, because we actually, with the cards, the Visa cards, we have to do those in groups. Like, we can't just send one at a time. They have to be done in groups. So we're hoping to do a batch this week where we send it to the company and then they mail the cards out to the individuals. That could take up to 8 to 10 days for them to receive it. So if we did one this week, probably the earliest they would receive it would be next week. So the 16th is not necessarily the end all date. I mean, we've been answering your requests and we've been checking. So if someone has a concern, we'll definitely tell them if we're still processing or if it's in the works.
Right.
So.
Yep. Now, Marcia had given me that 16th date.
Okay.
And if you could do kind of another date, just send that to me, just a ballpark of, because, you know, they're calling every day. I haven't received. I kind of like that 16th deal where if you hadn't got it by then we could start having our ears perked. But if you
Right.
can come up with another date like that, just in a day or two.
What's that? That's Friday?
Yeah,
16th.
right, just,
Okay.
I mean, just in a couple of days if you don't care, and, all right, so it's closed now. And did we have a specific budget, an amount that we were going to use on these?
Yeah, there's always a budget.
Right,
Yeah.
right. But what I'm getting at is, are we over budget, or is there room for some more kiddos to get some clothes if they're stragglers?
I can't tell you that right off the top of my head right now, because we had just under 1,000 applications that were turned in, 924 to be exact, from from the week and a half extension.
Are some of them still getting stage cards?
Yes, they had a choice
Oh,
if they
okay.
wanted to do that with this extension, because we know that some people were going to be wanting something faster, because we could not make any promises about how fast we could process those applications.
So really, the stage ones might get there, they might get them before they get the visas, right? Because it goes in batches.
Possibly, yeah, because it goes in batches, but it all just depends on how quickly we are processing those applications. And all the same staff are still processing all of the applications that they got in that week and a half. So,
Right. Well, I appreciate your
yeah.
work on it, and I've heard, at some point that, well, I won't go into that, but I appreciate your work on it, and it's nobody's fault. It's nobody. Everybody's working hard on it, and I want to convey that to you, that I know you guys are working hard, but you know, just, we all need to get together, and just, it's really been confusing, and I'm not pointing fingers at anybody, but I look forward to making that a kind of an easy thing for the folks, and you know, they're running back and forth to the office sometimes, and you know, some of those folks can't afford to do that, running back and forth, but please know, I know you guys are working hard on it, and look forward to that, and just appreciate you meeting my individual thing. So that's probably what you'd like, right, is like individual cases that just kind of let you guys know about it.
we've always said if there's ever a question, let us take a look at it, because if it raises a question, then, you know, like a disability or something along those lines, I mean, we've never said that we wouldn't
Right,
take a
and
look at it.
I like deadlines and everything, but there's, as you well know, there's gonna be some stragglers, and shame on that. But, you know, bottom line is, it's some Cherokee kids that might not have met the deadline, but there'll be a few inevitably that I'd try to, and I know you would too, like to help, but thank you for looking at that.
Yeah, I'll let
Thank
the
you.
staff know too.
Welcome, Neil.
You said it on a batch. How many usually goes out in a batch? Just rough.
I want to say the first one was 2,000. And I'm not saying that it can't be less than that, but like, we can't just send one every day, because it has to go through a process. And I mean, we have kind of some hypothetical dates within our mind, is like, okay, we're going to get these applications processed, and we're going to go ahead and send one this week, and then hopefully send another one, you know, the following week, because it's also a process between us and IT as well, so all of this stuff has to go through them.
So, you say 16th last batch?
No, I said I'm guessing maybe sometime this week, probably maybe the 16th. Just kind of depends. I don't have that date right off the top of my head right now.
So, if they don't get, say by the 16th, they don't get something, should they start calling back up there?
Yeah, they can always, if they're concerned and they haven't heard anything, yeah, then definitely give us a call. You know, especially if they think they might have left something out, let us know, and we can look it up promptly and get back to them.
I bet though, a lot of people really like it this way, don't they?
I've heard a lot of really, heard a lot of really good positive feedback on the cards. I've heard, people were able to purchase a few more things by going to other places. It's just, again, with a pilot, we're trying to get all the kinks worked out. There's always things come up that we're not always sure. We can't predict them, so.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Thank you, Jennifer. For community services. Good to see you, man.
You have the routine monthly report in your packets, but what I'm handing out is an accomplishment report. I'd ask the directors to prepare an accomplishment report over the past year and a half of what we've achieved. As you know, this is my last committee meeting with you, and it's been a pleasure serving beside the community services staff and yourself as well. And I just want to say thank you for your services. I also want to introduce a lady that's been helping us achieve all of these accomplishments, that's been working behind the scenes. Some of you may know her, and some of you I realize do not. Her name is Miss Jackie Reese. If you would please stand, I'd like to introduce you. She works behind the scenes with me in administration. And
If you're gonna stand, we're gonna applaud you.
I just asked them to highlight the things that they're most proud of. And if you look at, I'll circle back to administration and community services, youth development, adult residence center. I think it's a small program that I've been real proud of to work with Pam Baca and her staff. The number of youth participants that participate in that program, as you can see, is growing. And the adult resident programs are growing. I'd like to thank Council Mike Dobbins for reaching out and expanding services for adults in District 4. Pam is working with him to expand services. One of the main things that they accomplished this year was the partnerships and the collaborations that they were able to network this past year to further develop the staff in preparation to work with our youth. And thank you to the HERO Project who helped us achieve all of that. And working with the opioid, they participated in the opioid task force this past year, and as a result of that, we're able to distribute lock boxes for their medications and proper disposal bags for their medications. Jolly Gee Apartments is another small program that I was really proud to work with, and one of our goals was to achieve 100% occupancy, and we were able to do that this past quarter, and actually this past month. And it's a HUD subsidized program, subsidizing our elderly and disabled, and they have a waiting list, but they've been able to achieve 100% of occupancy. Some of the projects that they've launched has been, with their carryover funds, have been replacing hot water heaters and HVAC systems and establishing networking for the employees there, so that all of that is ongoing. And of course, OEH&E has highlights of the metrics that they use. It's been, they received $7.6 million in 2018 and $12.1 in 2019, and most recently received $11 million for the new projects for this year. The metrics speak for themselves that he's had highlighted here of the achievements and accomplishments they've made to serve our communities. Our Department of Transportation, I can't think of a better successor than Michael Lynn to oversee the Community Services Department. As you can see, they have completed some major projects this year that are long-term projects. And a lot of this has gone toward Ross Street, and the largest check being presented to Sequoia County. As reported here, completion of the Ochaletta Safety Improvement Project, and so forth. Drone usage that assists with planning, design, and construction. The transit program is another program that helps us all throughout the community services, both with elderly and our youth, and all the citizens throughout our counties. One of the things that they've all participated in this past year And thank you to Beverly Barr, who organized our community outreach when we served our veterans. She organizes the team to participate in the volunteer work there. Our administrative work has been primarily consisting of just a new professional outlook, and established a map this year. I handed out to you all this year just to have a visual aid of where all we are serving, where all of our projects are across our Cherokee Nation jurisdiction. And that map was probably just in draft form when it was handed out to you, but it has been completed and nothing changed from the map. It looks a little busy, but at least you can see where our projects are. It's a visual aid. We improved internal controls, especially with our administration department working with our apartments there in Salisaw, and improving those internal controls and improving budget forecasting, doing consolidated financial statements to step in and look at this. I wanted to look at it in its totality, whereas each one of those program managers know exactly where they stand with their programs, but I wanted to look at it in totality. And as a result of that, can actually speak to the amount of carryover funds that we have. And the majority of those carryover funds, 80% of it is due to the Department of Transportation's long-term projects, and 20% is OEH&E for the project funding that they just recently received. So the carryover funds are really committed already. Some of the things we've done to improve morale, we had Staff Development Day and an award ceremony to recognize them for their performances and achievements. So with that, I know that we've done a lot of other little things, but just the camaraderie that we established and restructuring and reorganization of the community services for OEH, and looking at market pay analysis for the staff that have been topped out of their range for a long time, taking a look at those and seeing where we can make those improvements. But having said all that, thank you for your service, and thank you for indulging me in this report. Thank you.
Thank you.
Martha, it looks like you do, I mean, this is a tremendous amount of activities and things that are going on. How many employees work in this department? I mean, it looks like you do just a little bit of everything. How many employees?
There's only 4 in the administration department. And Billy and Michael combined probably. Pardon me?
Okay, so you have a fairly large staff. I was just like, you cover a lot of areas, and
It's pretty broad. It's
Yes,
a broad spectrum of programs.
thank you. I wasn't trying to put you on the spot, just, I was like, you know, a lot of different things going on here, and thank you very much. Thank you, Chairman.
Unless you had any other questions, I'm sorry I didn't take any questions.
Martha, how long is the waiting list now for water and sanitation? Person signed up today. When could they expect to get the water and sewer?
Billy, can you answer the turnaround time on that?
That's always a good question that people ask.
That's always a great question, and my answer is always going to be, it depends. It depends on what they need, and
What if we need water and sewer?
if you need water, so is it a new construction, or is it a replacement?
It's new construction.
New construction, about 4 to 6 months.
4 to 6 months.
And then what if it's not new construction?
If it's a replacement, it can be a little bit longer, just depending on what we're up against as far as the site constraints are. If it's like a small lot on a lake and there's not a lot of room, we have to go through an alternative review and permitting process. It can add some time to the process, but you're looking at generally 4 to 6 months on average. That's an average.
So a good answer would probably be around 6 months.
Yeah, our goal this year was to try to get it down under 180 days, and the last time I ran the numbers, we were looking at about 200 days. So we're close to our goal, but not exactly where we want to be. We're still working on some issues and trying to get things streamlined a little more.
And just a follow-up question. On the aerobic systems, I know I'm not a big fan of those, but I think we have to put them in because of DEQ requirements. I understand the percolation rate's different than when I was in the program. but still, I'm not a big fan of DEQ. Are there any alternative systems that are gonna be put in, or are you looked at?
We're constantly looking at any type of an alternative system to the aerobic. What I've instructed my staff to do, specifically if we can find some sites on tribal land, either trust or restricted land, where we could try some alternative systems without DEQ approval, to see if those are functional and maybe a viable alternative to the aerobic system, and kind of use them as a test.
Yes.
I want to definitely try to do that. We thought we had a site, actually, that Councilman Crittenden referred to us, and we looked at it, and we went down there with an actual installer, because he's not a fan of the aerobic systems. He wants to get away from them. But after we looked at the site, that was just basically the only option that was available to us.
Okay, well, the question mark usually is how long it's gonna take before you get services, so the answer I hear was around 6 months, and that's good, that's a good answer. The other thing, one more last question is, if it's new construction, when should those people put in for the utilities?
As soon as they plan on construction. Do not wait until the house is 90% complete. I repeat, do not wait until the house is 90% complete. That is a myth.
Well, I've heard
That is a fabrication. I don't know who tells it, but apply for services as soon as you plan on building a home.
That'll hard
And
emphasize.
then what is your policy about what percent should the house be before you can install?
We like to install the services when the house is dried in and close to completion, but don't wait to apply until you get to that stage, because you're going to be waiting with a house that's done and you have no water and septic.
Thank you, sir.
I think Buell and I can give you some insight in our districts up there, where that comes from. Buell, you're next.
Yeah, thank you. Billy, and you may have answered my question, but what about some of these people that are displaced by the recent flooding? There's been some homes that are gonna have to be demolished in our area, and there's some of them are Cherokee citizens.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been meeting with some of them, and I just wanted to know what I need to tell them. Do they need to go ahead and apply for the 4-month thing, or? I mean, they're working with FEMA, and FEMA's really helping us out.
Certainly, and if they're going to get replacement homes, if you would include us in some of those conversations, we'd be happy to come out and talk to them ourselves, and to kind of keep track of the situation, so we can stay in touch with them and with their timelines, and make sure that they get the services they need when they need them.
Okay. Because I just want to make sure they're not just waiting around because their home's already demolished.
Exactly. So when we want to know when they get started on that construction, so we can start our process at the same time.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Billy.
You bet.
That's all. Thank you, Chair.
Anyone else?
One quick.
Yes, sir.
So it's my understanding, though, that if you're going to get like a loan or some type of, go through one of our loans, you can't have any construction done before you apply for that. Is that correct?
Now, I don't know if I understand your question correctly. If someone's getting a loan through the Cherokee Nation,
Yes.
like through,
I don't think they want you to have any construction started before you put in for that loan. If you start your construction, and I've had some people say, hey, we heard about this program, and then they tried to do it, and they were told that you've already started your construction.
as far as our program goes, that's probably another.
Different program?
That's a different program. That may be under Commerce through Section 184 or through the
Yes,
Mortgage
it is.
Assistance Program. So she can address that.
Yes, it is the mortgage assistance program, that's a receipt.
And that is, if they start, they can't, they no longer qualify.
If any dirt is moved before they apply for the mortgage assistance program, they would no longer be eligible for the mortgage assistance program.
Okay, all right.
And that's
Thank you.
probably because of the federal environmental rules.
Okay, thank you.
But they can apply to us at any stage in the construction process, but we want them to apply early, so they're not waiting around on us with a home that's finished.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, you bet.
Okey-doke. Anyone else? Thank you. Mr. Cooper?
Good afternoon. I know y'all are running a few minutes behind schedule, so I'm going to try to keep mine short. First off, I want to just say thank you to those ones of you who are leaving. It's been great to work with you. for these past years. If there's ever anything I can do for you, keep my number handy in case you've got a constituent who needs something. I'm always there to try to help. Our college housing program, applications closed for that program on Friday, and we had about 166 applications. 49 of those were continuing students, so those continuing students have already been approved. Payment schedule set up. Checks will be going out pretty soon for those. The 117 that are new applicants, we are working right now to go through and make sure that they're actually eligible for the program. There was something that was missed that they didn't get turned in. We're trying to get that. If they didn't provide us all the information we needed, or whatever the case may be, we're trying to determine their eligibility to see exactly how many we have that are eligible that we can provide assistance to. We are working on, I think I mentioned last month that we were awarded the 2018 ICDBG, the Indian Community Development Block Grant, that would rehab 35 homes for elders. So we are working on pulling those applications and processing those now. And then we also, just last week, with the help of the Grants Department at Cherokee Nation, and let me tell you that they were a great help to us. We applied for the competitive HBG money that I talked about before. That money was made available. We applied for the maximum, which was $5 million with a 25% match. So should we be funded, we're looking at doing 64 new construction homes. Those would be 64 that would be NAHASDA eligible families, so their rents would be based on income. So we are working on that project. Other than that, I think that is about all I have, and I'll just leave it for questions to try to get y'all back on schedule.
And I've got Janice Davis.
I just noticed that Head Vash was finally completely full. 100%.
Yes and no. It was, and then as it does, some folks go off. We work on that as a constant deal. But yes, it has been. We serve everyone that we get.
Okay.
But there are sometimes, as some come on, some go off just because they're no longer eligible under that.
Okay. All right. Well, I was going to congratulate you, but.
Well, I mean, we will take it. We're also working with VA on an issue with them being able to get us more, because we could stay 100% if they would help out just a hair more.
All right, that's all I have, Chair.
And Harley Buzzer.
I just want to, we had talked about driveways here in this committee, I don't know, last month or the month before. And it just so happened to have some driveways that Gary has taken a look at those driveways for me, but we've got some cost here that's just, I don't know what to do with them. We got one driveway, and I think it was probably a half a mile. It was like $13,000 to repair. And we got another one that's almost $9,000. So what do I do, or what do? We just say no help? Or could we put a limit on what we could do for a driveway? So I don't know if any other people has driveway requests, but it seemed like I had 3 this last month because of all the rain we had. So I'm in a predicament. I don't have the emergency money to fix them. So it's just something I want to bring up because budget hearing is coming up, so we need to take a look at that to see what we can make some policies, or if we're going to continue doing those services for people that need driveway repairs. And I think the policy is now that it's for anybody. I don't think there's a policy that says it's for elderly and handicapped, but I think now it's, and correct me if I'm wrong or right, Gary, it's anybody can apply for those.
And I guess it would be, now, whenever we're talking about your all's funding, yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, it's up to you all how that's divvied up. And I will tell you that the last 3 or 4 driveway requests that have came in have been pretty substantial, and that's because it's not just they're long, they're half a mile or more long, they're requiring a couple of tin horns. There's also a bunch of work that even has to be done to go in and clear out space to get trucks and equipment in there. Just because it's down something just a little bit more than a trail.
And I understand, you know. So I don't know what I'm going to tell these people. I guess there's not any money to fix the driveways because I don't have the money in my emergency funds. And those come from tribal funds, so it's just something to think about when budget hearing comes up.
And
But
most,
thank you for-
and you're welcome. And most of the ones that we receive for driveway, they're anywhere from, $500 to
Yeah.
$1,500. 2,000 is kind of, has been kind of on the high end of those.
And I was, of course, Gary had some people look at it, and a $13,000 driveway, that's a lot of money. So anyway, that's something I want to put out there for council members to think about, to see if we can fix the policy up or do away with the policy or whatever we're going to do with them. So, and I know we have citizens out there that has special needs that needs these driveways fixed, and I don't know what the limitations is for spending the money to do it. So anyway, just want to put it out there for food for thought. Thanks, sir.
I think policy would be good to look at because if it's for everyone, then we could probably add veterans, disabled, elderly. That might take care of some of that.
Yeah.
But it's something we need to look at. And Gary,
Yes, sir.
in our homes that we are building, is there ever going to come a time in our lifetime where you can drive by one of these mutual help homes and not detect it early on that is a mutual help home?
Yeah.
Where our citizens can help design some of these homes? Or is this a government rule or is it Cherokee Nation rule?
No, that was just the program that was put forward. That was the program. And part of it's, cost. Because a big cost of it is design and construction.
What's the high end right now we're building on these houses? I know some of them $600 a month, $700 a month.
Oh, no, those were ones that were purchased by CNB. Those were the
Okay.
bigger homes in the additions that had like a minimum square footage.
Now, what we are building, what's the average? I know it's based on income. What's high there?
What it's cost to building them or what the house
Yeah,
payment
building
is?
and,
Payment's $350.
$300, $400.
$350 a month. The house itself is, cost-wise, I think last time I checked, it was around 75 on average, 78 for the house.
Because a lot of our younger people the young couples can get into these houses. That's an option versus the 184. Seems like we could put them in a $100,000 home because the payments that we have here in Tahlequah and even Sequoia County, I was comparing the cost even of being a trailer is around $400, $500. Is that about right?
Yeah.
Well, I was just thinking maybe someday we could design and maybe upgrade some of these homes for our people. That's just a thought.
And maybe we should visit with the new administration about that.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair.
Walking stick.
Thank you. Gary, when you say the deadline was for those?
Friday.
It's this Friday?
No, this past Friday. For
Oh,
college
it's already
housing?
passed.
Mhm.
Okay,
Yeah,
gotcha.
that's the deadline.
There was a young man from Halbert, but no, so some of those homes are $115,000 mortgage payments. Is there just more cost that goes into running lines and whatever for the
Yeah,
contractors?
A lot of it depends on what has to go in. Just a few minutes ago, you were talking about aerobic systems. If we have to put an alternative type of septic system in them, whether it's an aerobic system, whether it's a nitrogen system, or whatever it might require, we have to drill a well for it. Those costs jump up there quite a bit. For drilling a well will be somewhere between $500 and $7,500. Aerobic
Yeah.
system can run about the same thing, so a lot of it depends on that.
I'm kind of with Speaker Byrd. We all live amongst areas that has a lot of Indian homes, and they're easily identified as being an Indian home, and they're very cookie cutter. So I hope that the future administration could look into developing a couple different planes of homes where they're not identifiable Indian homes. More on the lines of a custom looking home. That'd be great to see one day, but and that's affordable to the citizen, of course. But right now, I'm in the middle of construction, and I'm the contractor, and I'm gonna have about $80 a square foot into a house, and you know, and I was telling Joe, I was like, I'm building this big home. I mean, it's 1,700 square foot, and I'll probably have $140,000 into it total, right? And if we're, you know, if these Cherokees, if we're putting them on a $115,000, $120,000 mortgage payment, you know,
Those are, now the $115,000, $20,000 mortgage payment are for the larger homes. Those are for the homes that were built in Vian and Roland on that house plan. That is a larger, it's about 1,600 square foot roughly with the 2-car garage. There's
So-
two separate house plans. There's the main one that we do, and then there's the larger one.
okay.
So those larger ones are not the same. The 120, 110, 115, $120,000 that you're talking about, those are those larger houses.
Okay.
Those are not the ones like the model
Square foot
homes.
of those larger houses?
Huh?
How many square foot of those largest?
That's
houses?
what was just, I don't remember without looking at them. I want to say they're around 1,400, 1,500, 1,600,
Oh,
somewhere in
really?
that neighborhood
Okay.
of living space plus a 2-car garage.
Gotcha. That's pretty reasonable. Then.
Yeah. EO has some down there in Vian.
They say it's closer to 16 than people I talked to.
And that's kind of what I was thinking. I don't remember exactly what they were.
3 designs, I think.
Yeah.
3 different.
Yeah, there's 3 different floor plans of
really?
those. Mhm.
Gotcha.
Yep. There's some at
That's good
Vian,
to
some
know.
at Roland, and then there's a few out in different areas.
Yeah. Well, if you guys could design a little 1,300 square foot house that doesn't look like a Roger Indian home, you know, it'd be good. Anyways, thank you, Chair.
You're welcome, and I've got the Councilor Britton.
Yeah, I just gonna get with Harley and some of you guys help me, Brian, of course. Well, I've always thought that, like on them driveways, you know, we train people to drive those heavy equipment vehicles that, you know, grader or what have you. You know, I could see that being a service someday. We've got Cherokee Nation jobs that, you know, boys, we got a driveway in Nycut or up there, Delaware County or Adair County Squad, and that's their job. And I think we got enough quarters rolled up that we could afford some of that equipment and create some more jobs. And I know Brian here is open-minded and willing to talk about this stuff later. But help me. I've always wanted to do that, Harley. And I'm talking plumbers too. You know, we train plumbers, electricians. How many people have had an elder with a little plumbing issue? And Gary does his best now. I kind of like old Gary, but I mean, how easy would that be? Hey, Cherokee Nation plumbers. There you go. And Cherokee Nation, you know, Taro has their stuff they do, but we train these folks to work elsewhere. Let's train, and that would be more of a service, not really a money maker. But boy, that'd help my area a lot. But thank you all for considering that. In the future, kind of looking at some of that. All right. Thank you.
I'll be for that.
Anyone else? Thank you, Gary.
Thank you.
Dr. Lynn.
Good afternoon. As you've heard many times today, I want to thank everyone, all the outgoing council members that will be going off your term, and tell you how much I've appreciated working with each and every one of you. I look forward to I thank each and every one of you that I've worked with over the years, but especially the ones that are going out, and I wish you all the best. Mr. Chair, I do have a report prepared. But in the interest of time, I know we're running a little bit late. I would just entertain any questions that you might have. I would like to make a couple of introductions, but we'll do that after the question, if that's okay, Mr. Chair.
You betcha. Thank you. Any questions? Yes, sir.
I don't have a question, but I need to talk to you for about 30 seconds about a project that we had talked about at an earlier time.
Sure. I'll catch you after the meeting. That'd be great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Michael Lynn, you know, the idea of driveways, would you check and see if anybody else is already ahead of the game? You know, we go to the intertribal, sometimes we get ideas from them and see how that might be working, if anybody else is doing it.
There are some others out there. I'll look into it a little bit more.
Okay.
But I do know some other, specifically from the intertribal, some other tribes that have driveway programs.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Go ahead with your introduction.
Okay. I would like to call up Andy Quito. Andy will be my successor in the Department of Transportation. He'll be taking on the role of Director of Transportation as I move into the Executive Director position.
Is that
So
debatable?
Andy's.
Can we debate that, or?
Yeah.
Done deal?
I have to vote on that question.
I wanted to introduce Andy to you. He'll be around. He's been here a number of years. He's served in a lot of different capacities, and I think he'll take on this new role with ease. There'll be a learning curve as with anything. So, but I think he'll do a good job for us.
He'll do good. Andy?
I also want to introduce another one that I brought today, which is Priscilla Arnicher. Priscilla, if you could just stand. And Priscilla's our right-of-way supervisor, and we've got a resolution on the agenda for just after all the reports, and I wanted Priscilla here. But I wanted you to meet Priscilla. She does an excellent job in our right-of-way. She's been with the tribe a number of years, Harley. 25 plus, Priscilla? 25 plus years? 27 years. And she's been, and all 27 years have been in the Roads and Transportation Department. So, Mr. Chair, that is my report, and I'd be glad to, if there's anything else.
Well, and let me congratulate Michael Lynn for, I guess it's an upgrade or scooching over, I'm not sure what it is.
Thank you.
But congratulations to you.
Thank you very much.
You put up with a lot from me as your chairman. Yes, sir, Harley.
I just want to say just a couple of words about Michael and Andy Quitone, Billy Hicks, Priscilla Arnicher. These people worked for me at one time, and I won't say how many years ago that was, but I'm just happy to see all the promotions that's happening to people that work in our roads department. It's a good program. Roads department is probably a program that everybody, Indians, non-Indians, anybody drives that road gets something out of it. So it's a good program, and I just want to say how proud I am for the people that I've worked with for the last 20 years. So congratulations to all you guys.
Thank you, Councilor.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, just real quick, Mike. I told you the other day, but thank you for, you always answered my calls. Real professional manner, and congratulations on your new job, and I look forward to visiting with you sometimes on that deal. But you've been good. You've been really good, and you know, even if you don't like big old hillbillies, you sure didn't let on. It's always good to me. One thing that I was disappointed in, I never got Moonshine Road directions. That way. But congratulations.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that.
Thank you. Super.
You're welcome. Thank you, Michael.
I bet you a couple of these Sequoia County councilors can show you where moonshine is. Thank you all.
I remember
Commerce House.
report, remember that? CEO goes, first time he's leaving. I need to give me an update on
Hi, thank you for having me today. I'm sorry Anna was unavailable today. She's at the Governor's Conference on Economic Development in Oklahoma City, so here I am. I'll make this real short and sweet since I know you all are pressed for time. If you'll go to page 3 of the report, not necessarily go to it, but I hope you review it at some point. There's a new section in our report titled, The More You Know. We're going to start including a little bit of information there about financial scams that you're probably not going to hear about on the news. You're going to hear about, don't give anybody your social security number over the phone. Don't give anybody your debit card information. The police department isn't really going to come arrest you if you don't pay up right now. But we get a lot of information that isn't highly publicized. So if you guys would just take a minute to glance at that section each month and help us get the word out about these kind of lesser known financial scams that are still just as dangerous, just maybe not as widely spread, we would really appreciate that. And then I just wanted to mention about the mortgage assistance program and the not moving of the dirt situation we were just talking about earlier. they can apply for the mortgage assistance program as soon as, an individual can apply as soon as they think they might want to buy a house, even if they're not sure. If they would apply as soon as they start thinking about it, that would be great. And it is a HUD requirement that will not allow an individual to move any dirt on a piece of property until an environmental review has been completed. So just wanted to point that out, and that's all I'll point out right now, unless you all have any questions.
Any questions?
You good?
Good job, thank you.
Thank you.
ICW.
Changed, didn't they?
I'm Lou Stretch. It's a pleasure to be here today. You guys have our report. I'd like to, just tell you a little bit more, though, about ICW, and kind of excited about things that we hope are going to happen. But one of the things that's going on right now, of course, you guys are probably familiar with 4C, and that's the Cherokee Children's Cultural Connection, and that's continuing to grow and doing very, very well. We're opening it up now to some of our private guardianship families and some of our state custody kids. So that's continuing to get bigger and better, and it's been very successful. Some things we're looking at right now that's a little bit of a change is to try really harder to prioritize our relative placements. And right now we're seeking a really good family finding software. It's sometimes really difficult to locate some families and relatives of these children, and sometimes even absent dads. And so we're doing a little searching right now to see if we can find something that will make that an easier and a quicker process, not something that we have relatives that we're halfway or 3/4 of the way or right at the end of these cases, and these kids have been in foster care all this time, and these relatives haven't been identified. So that's something that I really feel like is going to make a lot of difference in our cases. Of course, you guys know we have gone 4C in January 1, and we're using that 4C program as new children come into custody. And so our saturation rate, or our number of kids that are 4E eligible, is about 60%. Right now we have 20 kids under that program. And so it's still kind of in its infancy stages, because it'll take a full cycle of our children going out of custody and back into custody before we fully have 4C applying to a whole bunch of our cases. Right now it's, and it's probably good that it's starting slow, because it's a complicated, very complicated program, and we're kind of in the learning stages. But we have been able to get some cost allocation software that makes our job a little easier, because it can identify what those cost allocations are. And so we're hoping that will start us up on the right foot, keep us out of trouble, and make sure that our cost analysis are really, really accurate. And then, of course, we're highly involved in our recruitment process. It's always hard to get foster homes that are able to take some of our kids. Some of our kids are a little more difficult to place. And we have a lot of FOST-ADOPT. FOST-ADOPT really usually are coming into the system with the intentions of finding that child that they want to adopt. But that's not why children always come into custody. We get those that are ready for FOST-ADOPT placement, but many of our kids, most of our kids, should be 95% of our kids, we're looking at reunification with the parents. And so that's our job. That's what we're trying really hard to do. And so those families can be utilized sometimes later in cases. And what we need are good, regular foster homes that are able to take a large variety of kids in sibling groups. And so our recruitment, we've got a lot of projects going out there for recruitment, getting ready to do a big event down with the Norman community. And so, and of course, kind of gearing up for that holiday time, whenever so many families really are more open, I think, spiritually to the idea of fostering and taking in kids. And so we hope to gather some more foster homes. And we're also looking at, there's some federal dollars out there, and it's the Families First Act. And so it's somewhat like the 4E program, but it's different because it is a diversionary program to allow us to put services in the homes of families without removing their children. The children have to be at risk of removal or they're not eligible, but I would really like to see that direction taking a lot stronger look than always having to remove kids. Some kids are at such high risk. There's no choices. There's no ability to not remove them. But when it's possible, and of course right now we're in the infancy stages of learning about it. But it's a pot of money out there that we hope we can go after, and maybe that would really be a real boon to our families in Cherokee Nation, because there's just too many problems out there with the opioids and the substance abuses, that if there is a possibility that families are going that way and we can divert those kids to stay home, then I think that's a really good plan. And so anyway, you guys have our report. If you have any questions, I'll gladly entertain those if I can answer them. So.
Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Good job.
Tough job.
Kevin Stretch, I'm gonna try to wrap us up here in a little bit. If you could
That's a
hustle.
little stretch, so you can, since I'm last on the agenda, you can just call me Home Stretch.
I've heard you called a lot and everything.
Hey, like a Howard Hayden mini-me today, so anyway. You have my report. If you have any questions, I'll.
Any questions? That's good. Good report. Thank you.
Thanks for all the outgoing counselors.
Thank you. Barbara, we missed you last month. If you could come for about 5 minutes. Maybe 4.
I forgot about Bob.
Yep. Hello. And Veterans Affairs. Excuse me.
Okay, so you have our report also, but I have some additions. You ready for those?
Yep.
Okay, so we had the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier brought in, and I hope that some of you got to see that. We had 23 veterans that were, of our tribal veterans, that were able to lay the wreath there at the tomb, just like our administration did, in Washington, D.C. And I can tell you that really meant a lot to them. We had over 965 people visit the tomb. So that was very successful. We had an event just this last week, what we call a presumptive event, where we had the VA and a lot of other resources come in, where you could do just, hands-on. We had our health IT came in, so they were able to pull records for our veterans that use our tribal clinics in Hastings, and also the people from the VA were there, so they could pull records or do anything that they needed to for the veterans and widows that came in. So we had 57 veterans and widows that came in, and I have to tell you, out of one that we know of right now, one widow was helped that day, and she will receive a back pay of $100,000.
Wow.
So it does make a difference on some of these activities that we do for people. It can change their lives. And that's just one story. I have to wait for the report, but we'll probably have some more good stories with that. We did the first trial run at Nowata and South Coffeyville for food outreach with our partnership. We served about 90 at Nowata and 85 in South Coffeyville. So that's what I wanted to let you know. Any questions?
Thank you. Any questions? Yes, ma'am.
Any news about the National Cemetery?
Yes, we do have a little bit of news about that. We did receive a letter saying that we made it on the list. And so we're just waiting on them to contact us now.
You get to play.
Yep, we're going to get to play.
Thank you for that.
Anyone else?
Barbara, we appreciate what you do. You've really upgraded the veterans department over there. And yeah, I know you don't have much of a staff. We saw that, but you know what? You got 3 counting you.
Right.
You and Hominy, little Dave. What's the lady's name?
Kimberly Lack.
Kimberly. You guys do an outstanding job, and you've served a lot of people, and it doesn't go unnoticed. We appreciate that.
Well, I appreciate you saying that, sir.
She about got heat stroke up there going north. She's in the hospital there after she left Noah.
Couple of days.
Yeah.
It's hot and windy.
Yeah.
Thank you, Barbara. Appreciate you.
And I appreciate all the council, the outgoing council. Walking away from here, you can feel good about it. You served your people.
Thank you, Barbara.
Thank you.
Okay, carrying on, no old business. We've got some new business. Victoria thinks she needs a road to the clinic up in Veneta.
I don't know why, I've only been waiting 6 years.
Yep.
This is a resolution authorizing a grant of easement for right-of-way on north-south 4410 Road. This is the Veneta Clinic tract on USA in trust land for Cherokee Nation to the Board of Craig County Commissioners. I move for its approval.
Any conversation? Did that go over tonight?
Yes, please, go to council tonight.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it. Any announcements?
Next meeting says September 16th.
Next meeting scheduled for Monday, September 16th, 4 o'clock. All in favor of adjourning?
I got just one thing real quick.
Oh,
I'm sorry, I missed it. Just want to thank Speaker Byrd for coming down to Weber the other day and bringing a check down out of his funds and helping the people. Weber Falls really appreciate it. Byrd got around because they're so aware that if they lose their school, they're going to lose their town. And they were so glad that he come down, and then Chief come down that night, and it was really a big night for the Cherokee Nation at Weber. Have our comments. Thank you.
Victoria?